O King, my King, divine protection exists and has favor, and grants its favor to those who are worthy. We're about to endure another chapter of the apocalypse, and it is so much more than pestilence, famine, and war this time, which is the usual punishment God sends against apostasy. We're about to be put in what is seemingly a hopeless situation, a new cataclysm, and though on the horizon we see World War III, we should also see beyond that. 1. I have a rough timeline, but they're just notes and they can be incorrect. Therefore, I cannot confidently relay them. But I can give preparation. It seems we're headed for trade wars and an economic collapse as the West wants to bring us to cashless society. However, as I've said earlier, Nebuchadnezzar rises. The trade war is merely the next step before the rise of the powerful peoples from the East. 2. Those peoples from the East will begin to wound the world, but I am uncertain if we're to be captive of the beast of the West or the Nebuchadnezzar of the East, but our captivity appears imminent and it will only be for a time, thankfully. 3. Apocalypse 13 is extremely relevant from now to the year 2050, I'd say. Study it well. After 2050, which is rather far into the future from here, the world will entirely be different. From our maps to our suffering, something comes from the sky, I believe in the years between 2050 and 2150, but we will know of it soon. 4. We cannot assume that every time is the end times. We have not entered into the era of the 10 kings of Antichrist yet, but we have entered into an era that will endure worldwide sorrow. 5. Although it rains on the wicked and the righteous alike, sorrows will be mitigated for the protected. 6. Confuse me not, for I do not say none will die, but when they do die, they will die as an instrument of God, like St. Maximilian Kolbe. They will receive the eternal reward. 7. But our times are due for a chastisement. It will, however, not simply be one chastisement and then we are done. No, Revelation 16 says we will endure waves of it. 8. We must never question the will of God the Father on the matter, for he knows more than we do, the little ones. 9. The Lord permits his enemies to persecute him, and so shall the Lord permit our enemies to persecute us, that we shall know and recognize, that he shall know and recognize us when we offer up to him our sorrows. 10. During our captivity and these times of sorrow, we must be like Daniel and his friends who bow down only before God and not before anything else. We must never cease praying. 11. They will tempt us with the relief of our suffering if only we renounce our faith, the same as Satan's trials for Christ. They will offer us food, protection, power. They lie because they cannot hide from the face of God. 12. Let us then be like the brethren of Maccabees Book 2, Chapter 7, and stand fast even if it costs us. You may be spared, O King, but you will suffer as others do. We must all do penance. Be like the ruler of Nineveh. Cause even the cattle to fast. 13. The new Catholic will be the weathered one, the one who endures the storm, the one who goes to Mass in the catacombs, the one who wears the crown of thorns. The storm is what we invite to make us worthy, for God will rebuke it, but we will endure it and make supplications. 14. We pray a rosary daily now. It may be 2 or 3 down the line, simply because we must force ourselves to eat of it. 15. We must take on what sins we can now. Now is the time, not tomorrow, not a week or month or year from now. 16. The only thing we must fear, and the exorcists know this well and warn us that demons will spook us with all sorts of calamities, and men will likewise, but the only thing we must fear is God. God has eternal dominion over the soul. 17. This is why we remember Easter every year, to remember the sorrows, to live Lent. Just as God wanted the Jews to live the Passover over and over. If we fail to do this, we forget. 18. Every year Christ dies and resurrects. Every Mass, Christ is crucified anew. We adore him in the manger and on the cross. 19. When times of peace come, we must never forget the joys, the sorrows, and the glory. Use the mysteries of the Rosary and contemplate them. 20. Our militaries are not of earth, they're of heaven, and the Lord will protect the garden so long as it's being tended. We must only do our part. 21. Protection from God is supernatural, as in the case of Daniel's friends who did not burn in the furnace. 22. You will be a great shepherd, and you will tend to your duties and to your sheep, and you will live in righteousness, like a King David, but hopefully without the mistakes. 23. And you and I shall dream one day, not to see your coronation, but to see that of the eternal Queen of Heaven.